So welcome back, it's Keith May for Hot Hardware, and today we're going to take a look at what happens when you take one of the most impressive sub 250 gram camera drones and turn it pro. That's right, it's all about the DJI Mini 3 Pro and the DJI RC transmitter that's now available. So what makes this pocket-sized drone so awesome and worth the asking price? Well, hold tight and I'll explain. Typically, in the sub 250 gram category, it's a hodgepodge of compromises, but it's an important weight to hit because it relaxes the regulatory requirements of the pilot. Yes, you still have to abide by all the same regulations as larger drones, but you don't have to worry about registering this drone with the FAA. So, to state the obvious, the Mini 3 weighs in at 249 grams with the standard battery. And it's quite impressive what all DJI can fit on board with this size. We're talking a chunky brushless motors with 6-inch folding props. Now all 4 sets are attached to folding arms that fold and unfold easier than ever and don't require an engineering degree to pull it off. The body of the Mini 3 Pro houses more sensors than its predecessor, allowing for 3-way obstacle avoidance: forward, rear, and downward. Thanks to this, it's the first time the Mini series we have access to active track technology. And this is really cool because the Mini 3 Pro can safely track and follow a target while still avoiding obstacles, including the subject. But what about the camera? I mean, most everyone who buys a Mavic series for getting those beautiful epic shots, so how does the Mini 3 stand up? Excellently. Thanks to its 1 1/3-inch CMOS sensor capable of shooting up to 4K 60 in HDR. Still pics come in at a massive 48 megapixels. So far, it's sounding eerily similar to the Mavic Air 2, only smaller. But it does have one really cool trick up its sleeve: a rotating camera allowing for 9x16 shooting for all of you Instagram and TikTokers out there. And while that isn't my cup of tea, the few people that I've shown this feature to have gotten super excited. Oh, it has a digital zoom function too. And while it's not as good as optical, it's still very useful, especially for those who shoot in 4K but export in 1080p. You'll likely not notice any degradation doing so. So we've got sensors, active track, and an amazing camera. But doesn't the lightweight cause issues with flight characteristics and wind? Well, let's talk about that for a bit. The Mini 3 Pro is small, but the props aren't. We're talking about 6-inch folding 2-blade props that can propel this puppy up to speeds of around 35 miles per hour in sport mode. Now, if you are in sport mode, you won't have access to the sensors or emergency stop, but you will if you're in normal mode and can expect around 22 to 24 mile per hour cruises. And if you flip it over to the Cine mode, you'll slow down to around 12 miles per hour for those precision shots and safety purposes. Overall, it flies exactly how you would expect a Mavic to fly, so if you've flown one before, you're going to feel right at home here. But if you're like me and you're used to flying for around 20 minutes in moderate wind, what can you expect here? Well, a surprisingly solid flight is what you can expect. The Mini 3 Pro is more sensitive to wind than the bigger drones, but it could fool you into thinking that it's heavier than it really is with how well it cuts through light to mild wind. So if you see the trees a swaying, then maybe try to keep it down below the tree line. Either way, I found most flights to easily break that 20-minute mark, and that's nothing to shake a stick at. Well, it's a solid drone with great flight characteristics, but what about the interface? It has 2 options, one being the older and familiar RC-N1 transmitter, and that's solid but nothing new. What's new is the DJI RC. It's basically a light model of the crazy expensive DJI RC Pro. The new model is the familiar gray color and has a gorgeous and bright 7-inch display that boots right into the DJI Fly app. Now this is the way to experience the Mini 3 Pro. In fact, I want this for my Mavic Air 2, full stop. The gimbals are improved and the button layout is familiar to the old transmitters, and on top of the radio you'll find the buttons that instantly switch between photo and video modes along with the camera up tilt and down tilt, which goes all the way up to 60 degrees up. Does 90 degrees down, but 60 degrees up is absolutely impressive, and you'll find the zoom wheel up there as well. So is this DJI Mini 3 Pro worth the asking price? Well, you can get just the Mini 3 Pro for $669, and that's a pretty tough pill to swallow as it comes with no transmitter. So that's only for those upgrading from another DJI drone or adding it to their fleet. But you can get the Mini 3 Pro with the older transmitter for $759. However, the model that comes with the insanely nice DJI RC transmitter with the built-in screen so you don't have to finagle your phone around, it's $909, which is way under what I expected the bundle to be. Now, if you add in the $189 Fly More bundle, it's really getting pricey, but considering the state of electronics pricing these days, I feel that this is a very fair asking price for what the package offers. Now, I hope you enjoyed our review of the DJI Mini 3 Pro, and if you did enjoy it, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you drop by hothardware.com for even more news and reviews.